If you are enjoying this podcast and other podcasts on the Dragon Wagon Radio Network, be sure to check out the Dragon Wagon Shop. Awesome t-shirts and mugs from your favorite shows so you can tout your podcast pride all while supporting your favorite podcast network. And make sure to check it often for new items and limited time designs. Shop now at dragonwagonradio.com/shop and get your dragon swag on.
You just told me I was one of those kind of people.
Yeah, one of those people, because you said something you like to do with Swedish fish.
I like the multicolored Swedish fish, where they just started randomly selling only red Swedish fish.
At what time did this happen? What year?
I don't know, 5-10 years ago?
I don't remember seeing any multicolored Swedish fish in my life. I don't really like Swedish fish.
But you're the one who grabbed it out of the...
It was just in a bag of old Halloween candy. I wasn't like grabbing it specifically.
So you don't like Swedish fish, but you grabbed it, looked at it, made the decision, I'm going to eat this.
Hey, it's made out of high fructose corn syrup like any other candy.
And Red 40. I'm sure it's great for us. Hey, welcome back to The Hell With This. I'm Chad.
I'm Mark.
And
I've never seen multicolored Swedish fish.
How you been, Mark?
I've been okay. Busy with work as usual. Same old story. I don't have to go down that road, do I? Again?
I mean, why not?
I got my next job lined up, and that's fun.
That's good.
I'm trying to convince my editor to let me cut more, and he seems to be all about it. So hopefully I'll be
that's good
cutting in the next year or so.
I feel like I've found most editors to be helpful in their getting their underlings more editing
How dare
work.
you call me an underling? I'm an important collaborator in the creative process. You son of a bitch. But yes, it's always good to have the department heads or bosses or editors, whatever you want to call them. They are basically department heads. Their own little department.
Sure.
It's good when they encourage assistants, PAs, anybody to like keep at it and give them opportunities to grow on the job. Because I've found a number of people who don't want you to do that.
Yeah.
I found a lot of people who are just like, as long as you can do your job, I want you to do your job forever. Never change.
Right.
Don't get a different job. Just keep it up.
And those people are egomaniacs usually.
Yeah.
Who...
yeah, usually.
But it's easy, well, unless you're a complete beta, like it is easy to get out from under them.
I'm raising my hand now.
You do one project, and then, as long as if you're able to find something else, it is hard in the beginning because you're
relying on a very small group of people to get you that next job. I'm 36 and a half years old, and I'm finally beginning to be comfortable with my work network.
Yeah.
With the number of people I have who I can talk to about getting the next thing. But for a long time, I would just be so paranoid. As soon as a show lays you off,
right,
you're unemployed. You don't know how long it's going to last necessarily. You got bills to pay, man. I have a mortgage now. What am I going to do?
Right.
So I started just accepting anything, any job that happened to come up first. I was so worried about not like passing up that job who was willing to pay me money just like anybody else in hopes of something better. I don't know if something better is coming. I could be out of work for years.
You've turned over a new leaf.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're now taking jobs not out of fear, but out of
because I like
that sounds like
because
a cool
I like
project.
the people I'm working with, or I like the sound of the project.
Of course, a lot of that has to do with building a resume, to get to that point where you're trusted, and it's not just like, oh, we have to take a flyer on this guy.
Yeah, I would imagine that somebody looking at my resume would at least feel satisfied I've been doing the job successfully long enough. I've gone back to shows for several seasons.
Yeah.
And, I'm not the guy who came in for 2 months, got fired, and had to find something else.
Right. And actually, this kind of brings us to our movie this week.
Oh.
I would say.
Okay.
The movie I brought this time was called I Origins.
I Origins. I have not seen that.
I as in
eyeball.
The letter I.
Oh, well, there's a picture of an eyeball Origins. On the cover.
Yes, there is an eyeball. I have never seen this movie, and I don't believe you have either.
No, because, I just told you I haven't seen it.
But I think we're both familiar with the work of the filmmakers, and this particular film has been made by a director by the name of Mike Cahill.
Oh, what did he do?
Well, he did Another Earth as well.
Oh.
Which...
I thought...
You look very confused, Mark.
I thought it was some other guy who was directing.
Mark signed on to do this movie today thinking that it was somebody else.
You've given me incorrect information. No. There's a guy, Brit Marling. That's the name I'm thinking of.
Zal.
Where's that guy's name? I don't see it.
Basically, they
made the show The OA for Netflix.
Yeah. And I can't remember the other guy's name.
Sound of My Voice. That's a great movie.
They're basically, and Brit Marling.
Yeah.
They're all kind of like a part of this little network of basically independent filmmakers.
Yeah.
Well,
the story I remember Brit Marling telling is she would go out on these auditions for these like fucking nothing roles, and she'd be so upset about having no good roles for women out there. She was like, well, why don't I start writing some stuff?
Right.
And she's made some really great stuff.
Honestly, I think every actor should be doing.
Yeah.
Because if you're
not everybody has the money to be producing their films.
You are a pawn for everyone else.
Yeah. You can start working for yourself.
Roles are always going to suck. I think in general.
Yeah.
But getting out, doing it yourself, being proactive about your career, which now you can be, right? Now that you have a resume.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Obviously these guys started from nothing. And if you haven't seen Another Earth,
I've seen that.
But you have, okay.
I have seen that.
What did you think of that?
A little confusing.
Yeah. I don't remember loving the movie, but I remember appreciating. Right. Anytime I hear of a group of people like this, they get together as a team and make films. Find a way to do it and survive.
There are some movies that make me feel like a very stupid person, and pretty much anything with Brit Marling in it has that effect on me.
Even The Sound of My Voice?
Yeah, I felt pretty stupid at the end of that, going like, wait, but what?
That's another movie I was considering bringing.
I love the movie, but I still was a little bit, I don't know what that means.
And the OA, I wanted to watch the OA, but Orla saw a few episodes and was like, there's no way I'm going to do this. And then so that was like, I never got to see it because she hates it so much.
It's, well, somebody I used to work with, we would discuss, what we're watching at lunch or whatever, everybody would get together, and the OA came up, and I said, like, oh yeah, I saw the first episode, but I just got to keep going. Like, yeah, I'm interested, but I just haven't continued. And then this guy who had seen it all started doing a weird, like, Maori type dance. He was going like, doing all these weird things, and everybody at the table went, what the fuck are you doing? And he said, just watch the show, you'll totally understand. And most people said, no, I'm never watching that. What are you talking about? But I said, I am intrigued. I need to know what the dancing means. So does that help? Are you going to watch the OA knowing that there's special weird dancing in it?
Probably not. But I do want to see it. I don't know that I ever will unless Orla goes on sabbatical without me or something, and I'll get to sit and watch it. I know they're working on season 2.
Yes. Which I'm not sure about.
And I'm not even sure what else they have done. I know there's Another Earth.
There's The East.
That's right, The East, which I think came out after I Origins.
Not sure, but that had Kitty Pryde from X-Men in it, right? What is her name?
I don't know.
Hard Candy.
Besides The East, Marling hasn't acted like it. It doesn't seem like she's acted in much either. She's very particular about the project she does. That's for sure.
She was in a movie called Arbitrage with Richard Gere.
Yeah,
Like
She was
played
great,
his daughter,
man.
I think.
Yeah, she plays his daughter.
I never saw it, but I just know that
She kind of
did.
came out of nowhere. I remember reading the first time before I even saw Another Earth. I just saw an article that was talking about her specifically, saying, Hollywood's new it girl. But
Boy, I wonder what they would say now.
Yeah, what does that mean? But it's
Seriously talented, very good.
yeah.
And any director she works with, Mike Cahill or that other guy.
There's not many filmmakers that, and I'm calling her a filmmaker as a part of this team.
Yes.
And I don't know whether or not the other directors, I can't remember his last name. I think his first name is Zal.
Yeah, it sounds.
I don't know if him and Mike Cahill are a part of the same group, or if Brit just kind of goes from.
I think
director to director.
they're all pals.
Yeah. But I don't know. I was curious in this because I'm a huge Michael Pitt fan.
That's what. Yeah, Michael Pitt is the guy in this.
He is an awesome actor, like severely underutilized.
Wasn't he in Murder by Numbers with Ryan Gosling and Sandra Bullock?
Yeah, probably. Well, maybe, I don't know.
I think that was him.
He was in Funny Games.
Oh God, no, I saw the original. I don't need to see the remake because it's
You didn't
the
see
same
the
thing.
remake?
No,
For some reason, I thought we went together.
I saw the original.
Oh, well,
That's enough.
Someday we'll watch the remake.
No.
When I bring it.
No, that's one. I'm calling it. I'm got to draw a line in the sand.
And Michael Pitt. He was in Boardwalk Empire. Is like my favorite character ever.
Mm-hmm.
He was awesome.
He was in Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
And The Dreamers, I think he was in.
Yes.
He's another guy, just like Brit Marling, like kind of comes and goes. It seems like they kind of just get to choose. They've gotten to a place where they can pick and choose what they want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that's the case with Michael Pitt because he could probably be in a lot more, but he's not.
Yeah, I think he's sort of he's trying not to be a very mainstream actor. He's not doing a lot of Hollywood movies. I think Boardwalk Empire is probably the biggest thing he's ever done.
Yeah.
Whatever that's worth.
Yeah, which is strange. Neither one of us have seen this movie, but we're gonna take a dive. We've both seen Another Earth. We've seen The OA, which
Yeah, well, you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it, but you
I'm not going.
You're
down that
super
road
excited about that that dance.
I just don't know how they can do a season 2. I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know where it's gonna go, guys. It's a very weird show. All right, should we just go for it?
Let's do it.
All right.
I'm Priya Verma. How can I help you?
I'm Dr. Yeun Gray, visiting from America. I have a very strange request.
Yes.
I'm looking for someone who was scanned here a while back. The thing is, I don't have their name. All I have is a picture of their eyes. This is what their eyes look like. It may not be this exact color.
Why are you looking for her? Is she in some kind of trouble?
Her? No, of course not. She's not in trouble. She's incredibly special. So you do recognize them?
I do, if it is who I think it is. But why are you looking for her?
Here's another photo.
Okay, this doesn't make sense. These are her eyes, but this isn't her face around them.
That's exactly why I'm looking for her.
Well,
I don't feel stupid. Hooray!
did you expect to?
Yeah, just based on the other movies. There's always some kind of twist at the end that makes you question everything that came before.
Right.
And this one did too. But it was sort of a...
It was much more
Yeah, it
playing
wasn't...
it straight.
And I guess not even straight, but it was more of like, okay, I see why they're asking the question. It wasn't just like, wait, what?
Right.
What did I just watch?
We can get into whether or not we liked it.
I did.
Plot wise.
Well, good night, folks.
Yeah. Plot wise, basically, it's a guy who's basically doing research on the eye and like mapping the eye.
Trying to prove the evolution of the eye from basically creatures with no eyes at all up to the human eye.
One night, he's out at a party in New York. Sees this girl sitting on a ledge, and she's got kind of a mask over her face, but you can see her eyes.
And he has this habit of taking pictures of people's eyes.
So he walks up and says, "Hey, can I take a picture of your eyes?" Snaps a photo of her eyes, and then they randomly go downstairs, have sex.
In the bathroom.
Then he says something in the middle. Oh, he says, "Are you going to regret this tomorrow?"
And she doesn't say anything, but she takes off.
Yeah. They're in the middle of sex, and she just gets up and leaves. And then he chases her, but he can't find her. But he has pictures of her eyes. And then one day he's out, and there's this moment where the universe kind of hits him with the number 11 all at the same time. It was just basically as a coincidence. There's 11 is everywhere.
He buys a lottery ticket
From
at
7-Eleven.
11:11 a.m. on November 11th from 7-Eleven. He gets on the number 11 bus. I don't think he sits down in like the 11th row or anything, but a dog barks at him, and he kind of takes that as his cue to get off the bus. And he turns around after getting off the bus, and boom, there's a billboard with those eyes.
Those eyes, yeah. Now, before we go any further, I would like to say that I quite enjoyed this movie. It was surprising in areas. And if you haven't...
I did not expect the plot at all. I thought it was going to be much more directly philosophical discussion of like the scientists arguing against the existence of God and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's definitely part of the movie.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes places I did not foresee.
And for that reason, I would say, and this, we don't do this often, I would say, go watch it first, if you can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're, you know, I don't know, I guess. Like, he finds this girl again because she's a model who happens to have her eyes on a billboard. And he...
Coincidentally, she lives in the same city as him. All right.
Yeah.
And does a little Facebook stalking, goes to her favorite coffee place, finally sees her on the subway one day.
Boom, finds her in New York, yeah.
And it's weird because he's looking out the window on the train, and there's an infinity sign somebody drew on there. And we do like a rack focus thing, and from his POV through the infinity sign, that's where he sees her sitting in the reflection.
Yeah, and he works at the place he works, he's got a new lab partner played by Brit Marling, who appears in most of the movies by this team, and also Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead. And basically, he goes out, finds this girl. They basically get married over a whirlwind dating experience, and then
they're about to get married, and then they're like, "Well, you need a marriage license first, so you come back in 24 hours, and then you can actually be married." So they're like, "Okay, fine, we don't get to get married today."
Right. But
then they have a very bad night.
There won't be a tomorrow for one of them.
Yeah.
So,
a series of unfortunate events. The guy gets formaldehyde splashed in his eyes at the lab. It kind of ruins their quote-unquote wedding night. And they finally get back to the apartment where they both live, in the elevator's acting breaks down halfway
for the second time in the movie,
floors.
right? Or was that?
That was no. That
a
we're
different
fine.
movie we watched. Okay. Elevators breaking down left and right.
Yeah, and they're in between floors, and he's half blinded with the formaldehyde. Takes off his bandages, but he opens a door and he hops out, and
the elevator's stuck. In
between floors, and he jumps out and he's pulling her out when the elevator falls. And it's a really tense sequence. And even when it finishes and the elevator goes, you're kind of like, wow, that was really close. And then a few seconds pass and she's not moving anymore. And she gets her legs cut off by the elevator.
It's pretty...
And he's killed.
It's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gory or graphic or anything, but it's
if you
horrible.
were that character, you would just be destroyed.
Yeah,
and
you'd want to go jump off a building.
If the movie was unbelievable at all for me, it's that
he was able to get out of bed the next day.
Yeah, exactly. Because his model girlfriend just basically got cut in half by an elevator, and he just seems to kind of get on with it.
There's a quick
lab
montage of him
partner
stealing drugs from the lab and injecting himself. I don't know what that was. Was he trying to kill himself with that stuff, and his old roommate stopped it from happening? I don't
even remember that part.
He stole bottles of like some sort of chemical out of a cabinet, and he had syringes, and I think he was injecting himself.
Maybe it was just a...
Did they have a lot of like painkillers
opioid
at the eyeball clinic?
But
maybe it's for the animals, so that if they're doing surgeries or whatever.
The fact that he has his lab partner over, Brit Marling, and she's she comforts him while trying to get him back into the scientific mode of things.
Right,
And,
right. Like we've made so much progress with this eye research, and it's all going to stop unless you get your ass back to work.
And so naturally they kiss.
Yeah, and
Which
I
do
always
not
have
believe.
that. I have the reaction anytime that happens in a movie. It's such a rom-com moment. I'm like, no, he's distraught.
Right.
Why would they be
Why would-
making out right
Why
now?
would you do this right now? Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Nobody's in a sexy mood now.
Yeah,
Nobody wants this.
I mean,
It's never happened to me anyway.
It's fine ultimately. Like it's like, all right, whatever. I mean,
You gotta
that's
get
the
past
least.
it. It's cinematic
That
shorthand.
is hilarious. That's the least believable part in this entire movie. That's about like
Which is
basically
basically science fiction.
death and rebirth. Yeah,
Yeah.
Through because they're saying that the brain is tied to the eyes, and if you have the similar kind of eyes,
Then you have the
Then
same
you
mind,
could
sort
be-
of, kind of.
the reborn version.
Yeah. Well, this is it jumps to 7 years later at that point, and it becomes a semi science fiction type story where Stephen Yeun, he works in the private sector, and their company is like basically cataloging hundreds of millions of iris prints or iris patterns for various forms of identification.
God only knows what.
Yeah, people flying in and out of countries, whatever. It's like it's used on everything now. So they're scanning it in third world countries and everything. And the question kind of comes up, well, they have a baby. Right, we skipped that part. Brit Marling and Michael Pitt have a child. Some random... I'm skipping over all kinds of stuff. When they first do the eye scan on the baby, it comes up as somebody else. But it's like, oh, it's a weird glitch. Let's just restart the computer scan again. Okay, now it works fine. Well, soon after that, another researcher calls and says, like, hey, we're doing an autism study. We noticed some, like, weird markers in your baby's samples. Bring him in for an hour. We're just going to do some quick tests, and we'll see if your baby is showing signs of autism. They bring him in, and they're putting up these seemingly random photos in front of the baby and tracking where his eyes go, like which picture he likes more, even though he's only like 6 months old. That's how they're measuring this. This is a big jump for me. They remember like a couple of the photos. Oh, there was this one diner in Boise. So they Google it and they go, oh, it's a real place. Why don't I buy a plane ticket to Boise and look at this diner? Because it was in a fucking
they are
stock
experienced
photo.
scientists, and this kind of test was something. It didn't seem right to them because the people who called up about the baby said they were testing for autism, but given that they're both scientists themselves who kind of run these own tests on like animals,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't recognize these kind of tests, and so they kind of thought about
They reverse engineered it.
Yeah, they were like, well, what are these images they're showing? And yeah, they. In particular, one was a diner in Idaho
But
that
just
they found
one.
on Google. Yeah,
One, like the other ones are totally, they could have been stock photos of people or places, farms. One of them was like identifiable as a location, and that was
Sure.
enough to buy a ticket to go to
and you're
Idaho.
right. There's a few of these moments, and to be fair, I felt there was some of that in Another Earth as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all in service of like the
Greater good.
the
Yeah,
greater story of the thing.
it could
and
have
the
been
point.
done. It could have been done better, sure,
Right.
but it didn't. It
Just
didn't
a more
take us
natural
away
way.
from the story to the point that it was like
No, it was still well,
detractor of the movie.
It felt like sort of a detective tale at that point.
I felt like, on the whole, by the time you got to the end, you did experience something. And because this movie is so small, like we were talking about, I mentioned this in the middle. Like if this was a bigger film, they wouldn't have gone to these locations. Like in the movie, you can tell that they just got
It would have just been like Northridge.
they got the actors and they went, from Brooklyn to Boise, Idaho, and then they get back and then they find a connection between his dead girlfriend because they have pictures of her eye.
They
her
find the
eyes.
same eyes
They find
in
the same eyes
some
in
kid in India.
India, so he flies all the way to India by himself to go there, and sure enough, the camera team seems like they go to India.
Yeah,
Like
the
there's
whole
no,
production went.
This is why I love small movies from time to time. You can do that, and
Mm-hmm.
you can get away with it. I think that's why I
And
appreciate.
there was no
movies
hit
like
in
this.
like production value or anything. It still felt like the same movie. Everything was done very well.
I think
thought.
we've hit that point. If you have the talent from the actors and you've got a good enough camera and you know how to use it,
Mhm.
nowadays I think you can pretty much do anything as long as you.
It's not going to be like switching from 35 millimeter to home camcorder stuff.
Not anymore. No. Yeah. It's okay. So you liked it.
Yeah, I did like it. And I'm not a religious person. Like, I can't really identify with any of the characters that are coming from that end of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the question is, it was posed to the Dalai Lama, if science disproved some of your religious beliefs, what would you do? And long story short, he would change his religious beliefs. But if a scientist, if they found or had some religious experience that conflicted with their science, what would they do? And it's hard for a scientist to say, well, I would just forget the science. That's their whole perspective on the world. But some events in this movie kind of ask Michael Pitt's character to do that. Mm-hmm. And they run the scientific tests and it kind of comes out inconclusive. But they find this kid and he is about to get on an elevator with her. This is the kid with the same eyes as his dead girlfriend.
A 7-year-old.
And as soon as the elevator doors open, she freaks out, starts crying into his shoulder and stuff, and they take the stairs. Which is a good call.
It's the first thing because he's already run tests on her based on pictures, just putting pictures in front of the girl and saying, point at one, and she gets 44% of them.
Yeah, it's the same test that was done on his baby. Like, which picture do they
Basically,
respond to?
except that was with like 2 images, and
this one is with 3.
She still gets 44%, which
it's higher than 33.
Higher than 33%, and but yeah, it's not enough. He doesn't believe it. He even says, "I feel like a fool for being here." But then, they go to the elevator. She freaks out. Did they come up the stairs into the? That was the thing that I didn't get.
How did they go up there?
Up the stairs?
Yeah, because the preacher man was waiting for the elevator, and he was like, "Oh, don't want to talk to that guy. We'll take the stairs." So they walked up right next to him.
Okay. For some reason, I missed that.
Yeah.
I expect my movie brain was going, and I was like, "Oh, they saw the religious guy downstairs, and he just saw Michael Pitt go upstairs to his hotel room with a 7-year-old girl that he does not know." So in my brain, I'm thinking, "Oh God, he's gonna come downstairs and be arrested and like thrown in prison for having the 7-year-old girl."
This movie was so unpredictable that could have happened.
Yeah, I fully expected it to happen, like hands down.
I thought the preacher character, or the Christian missionary, whatever you want to call him, wearing a cowboy hat, played by William Mapother, also from Another Earth.
And Lost.
He was the first other we ever saw on Lost. Yeah.
Ethan.
I thought it was kind of funny that they were taking the elevator up the first time he was at the hotel, and he was like, it's sort of stuck in an elevator with the religious side that he doesn't agree with.
Interesting.
It was really like cramming them together in a tiny space, and he couldn't wait to get out of there. Sort of revealed
in an
his
elevator
character
of
more.
all places.
Yeah.
And you brought up the point, like, would you
ever ride an elevator again in your life?
I don't know that I would.
It'd be really tough.
Is it an actual fear? I wonder what the name of the phobia is of being split in half by an elevator. Because every time I walk out of an elevator, I think about it.
You're like, oh, what if it fell right now?
if it went right now, it's not a lot, it's not a...
I've seen a couple YouTube videos of like a dog running out the doors right before they close on a leash. And then like the elevator inside the wall is going up and the dog is lifted off the ground until the leash snaps and it falls to the ground. Luckily, it doesn't kill any of these dogs.
Were you looking for these videos?
No, but it was it was posted as like, wow, you won't believe this shit.
I'm gonna check your freezer for human heads.
Nah, there's only the one.
Great.
I think anybody should be allowed to have one frozen human head.
Well,
if you have 2, then it's a problem.
I just need to go to the other room really quick.
All right, I'm keeping your microphone though.
Well,
it was really a thought-provoking movie. And it does encourage you to see the world from a different perspective, whether you're the religious type or the scientific type.
Right. I thought they got great.
Represented well.
And to me, they got great performances out of people that I'm not sure they're actors.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little child,
Yeah.
the 7-year-old girl, like
The whole time that testing sequence was going on, and he's kind of saying like, A correct, B correct, C incorrect. She doesn't quite know what the words mean, I think, because she doesn't know English that well.
but it seems to affect her.
Right. Like she's always looking from the paper to him to the paper to him. And I'm reminded of like whatever psychology courses I've taken in college or things like that. When you're testing kids, mostly all they're trying to do is make the testers happy.
Right.
So they're, they'll look for invisible cues that you don't even know you're giving to inform their decision. So I was actually watching that scene going like, is he looking at the right picture?
Right.
Or is he like avoiding eye contact altogether? I would say as an experiment, it could have been run a little bit cleaner if they wanted like more reliable or accurate results.
It wasn't gonna.
It was in a fucking hotel room with someone watching on Skype.
They weren't gonna go back and tell the world, oh my God, this girl answered all these questions, because they weren't really even recording it, I don't believe.
Yeah.
Like
they were taking notes, that's all.
Yeah, they just had the raw data. They didn't have
I believe that if she answered 100% correctly, that would have been something.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. They would have done something with that.
And really the only thing she pauses on is the picture of his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Who was killed.
Would you say ex-girlfriend or dead girlfriend? Ex implies there was a breakup, and I'm not talking about between her torso and lower body.
Her legs. Jesus. Yeah. It's this movie kind of implies what's the word for it? Design.
Intelligent design.
Intelligent design. Yeah.
There is sort of an implication that even though if two people have the same eyes, it's not like they're a direct copy of each other. They don't know everything, but there is some sort of.
But it's like a mapping of.
Yeah.
A continuation.
Yeah, there's some sort of distant memory, like deja vu. Yeah.
Which it's almost kind of like
reincarnation.
Of
second
what?
Past lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This may be going off on a total different tangent.
Do it, man.
But something occurred to me the other day when I saw some article. I think it was like clickbait, basically, that said, two AIs formed, or two AIs were built to oppose each other.
Okay.
And
like
when
in a war games sense, launching nukes at each other.
Yeah, I guess it was like, I don't know if they're robot or humanoid form AI, but
probably just a big box labeled Whopper.
And it made me go, something like clicked in my head, and I was like, suddenly I thought back to all the Elon Musks of the world saying that we live in an alternate or artificial reality.
Yeah. We live in the Matrix, essentially.
In the Matrix. And I went, oh my God, this explains everyone I've ever disagreed with. Like it's just like in nature, obviously there is always the opposing force. There's always the 50-50.
Mm-hmm. And
so I don't know. I saw that, and there's a little bit of that in this movie, I guess, just in the sense of the creation from a higher being, whether or not it's people playing a video game.
Yeah, right.
And we're in the video game, or
our whole universe is inside a marble.
So it's an interesting. I wondered if you could ever really have a movie about science, kind of like this one is, without the mentioning of God and religion versus science. Because I don't know if I've ever seen something that's just straight up like atheism. Wow,
atheism. Wow.
Like boom, science. Here we go. There's always.
I don't know. I think there's some history of movies like The Martian where people are relying on science and engineering to save their lives. Yeah.
But then there's Contact, and you got Contact has
that's
very much the religious debate. back and forth, the spiritual, and that in the same sense, like
What
that
if
movie kind of
God
plants.
was an alien?
To be honest, Contact kind of puts me in the same mindset as this movie.
Yeah, that was more of like a big adventure political kind of movie. This one is way more personal.
Yeah,
That's
for
the
sure.
stage is much bigger in Contact.
I would say, I mean, I think this actually exceeded my expectations.
For sure. I guess I was expecting it to mostly take place in a lab from what I knew about the movie. I didn't know we went to India. I didn't know there were issues of like past lives
Let's
and
be
reincarnation
honest.
being brought up.
You were just happy they went to Boise.
Well, I've never been to Boise, and I think more movies should take place in Boise because, man, they have such a
mean-
lot of cows there and snow.
Is it weird that they could have shot that anywhere? It doesn't have to be Boise. They could have shot it in like the Catskills or something.
Yeah, we don't know.
But-
we didn't look this up.
Because of the way the movie is,
I'm sure it's in Boise.
we're positive. We're convinced they actually went to Boise to do it, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And kind of wonderful.
This group of people, of filmmakers, is so good. I've been impressed by everything they make, even if I like some less than this movie, like Another Earth.
Maybe we just
But
need to
every time
maybe we
it's
should
just like-
revisit Another Earth.
No,
I will.
I've been
How's
there.
that?
Yeah, you can do your solo project.
I'll bring it to here, and you can you can be forced to.
You can show
That's
that
what-
to somebody
That's what
else,
this
man.
podcast is about, man.
Ah.
Forcing another person into watching something they don't want to see.
But I've already seen it. That's not fair. I already know I don't like it.
Well, I like the movie. I don't think we need to say too much more about it.
No.
Unless you've got anything.
No, I
Special gems.
highly recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
we've had a run of a couple good movies
I
here.
Origins. It's not even called iRobot. It's called I Origins.
You know, actually, let's talk about the title real quick before we go. I Origins.
Origins.
They're talking about eyeballs, EYE eyes, but the title is the letter I Origins. And I was kind
Or
of
is it one Origins?
I was kind of goofing during the 11 scene, like, oh man, there's a bunch of letter I's all over this place in the form of number ones.
Well, could we talk about that? Because remember how I mentioned during the movie, yeah, the 44%? Like she gets 44%?
Which is 11% more than
More
33,
than
which would be like
33.
totally random chances.
Unless they planned it that way.
I mean, I'm sure that is
I don't think it has any cosmic meaning, but you know.
no, but I mean, I bet they kind of looked at it and went like, well, what number would make sense here? 11% more.
On top of
yeah,
33.
yeah.
Maybe.
I think that means something to the
Okay,
filmmakers.
Should be. Anyway.
I wish it meant something in real life.
Yeah.
Too bad
Sadly
it's just a movie.
Although every time it's 11:11, Orla stops me and says, "Do you know what time it is?" I'm like 11:11 or 1138.
I do that with 11:38. Yeah. This movie reminds me. Another quick note before we go. Reminds me of a movie on Netflix. One of their first like original features, I think, with Robert Redford and Jason Segel called The Discovery.
I have never heard of this movie.
That one is another thing where the main characters are scientists, and the discovery of the title is one that Robert Redford makes. They don't really get into the details, but he discovers that the afterlife is real. They have scientifically proven it, and it's not heaven or hell, but there is an afterlife. And it doesn't matter how you die, you're going to an afterlife. So people start committing suicide like crazy. It's like a worldwide epidemic because they know there's an afterlife. And they discover in that movie that this afterlife, they somehow record video of the afterlife. And it's basically like you get another chance. It's your life, but slightly different. You get to make new choices. And it's not that you're aware that you've done this before, but it's these small things. It's like being reincarnated as yourself. There's these echoes of your previous bad decisions that you get to improve on. And that's your afterlife, another life.
But who's to decide if it was an improvement? Like, what is it going to make you go back and redecide your good decisions as well?
As presented in the movie, there's nobody in charge of this, but it shows like our main character in that movie going through some of the same events that we already saw, and like having kind of just a little feeling and making a different choice and doing better. And I think that's the idea, is that gives us a chance to do better.
So you
But I thought that
you
was
would
similar.
think that if the filmmakers redid this movie, they might find a different way to get to Boise, Idaho.
Maybe they would go to like New Mexico instead.
Just because. Why?
I mean, New Mexico people are pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never
They are
been.
pretty cool.
I don't have a passport. I can't get to New Mexico.
Can't go to New Mexico. God damn it.
All right, let's wrap it up
On
there.
that note,
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Hell With This. I'm Mark Heiliger.
I am Chad Peter.
Are you going to
I
finish
got
that
nothing
sentence?
to say.
All right, bye, guys.
It's Dragon Wagon.
Gamebox Monthly sends a new awesome indie tabletop game right to your door every month. There are multiple subscriptions to choose from, and you can personalize them to fit your style. Also, you're guaranteed to never get a title you already have, letting you focus on what matters most, having a great time with great people.
So visit GameboxMonthly.com and use the promo code DRAGON to get an exclusive discount just for the Hell With This listeners.
Once again, that's GameboxMonthly.com.
Rediscover social.